Days of Our Lives Spoilers Preview. What will happen this week, November 3rd -7? Salem, USA. If the crisp autumn air in Salem feels charged with an almost electric sense of dread and anticipation this week, it's with good reason. The week of November 3rd -7 on Days of Our Lives is not merely a collection of storylines. It is a symphony of converging fates, where long-buried secrets claw their way to the surface. Desperate gambits are played, and the very definition of life and death is questioned once more. This is a week where the past does not simply whisper, it screams for resolution. The Devil's final stand, a battle for Holly's soul. The most immediate and visceral conflict centers on the fragile soul of Holly Jonas. Possessed by the remnants of the devil that once tormented her mother, Nicole, Holly has become a pawn in a cosmic war. But this week, the chessboard is shattered. Tate Donovan's Johnny, armed with a love for his cousin that borders on the heroic and a faith fortified by fire, prepares for a final, desperate exorcism. This will not be a quiet prayer in a candlelit room. Spoilers indicate a confrontation of biblical proportions set against a storm-racked night that seems to bleed in from the very edges of hell. Teresa Donovan, watching her son become a vessel for a battle she can scarcely comprehend, will be pushed to the brink of her own sanity. Her maternal instincts scream to protect Tate, but how does one protect their child from a metaphysical war? The real question isn't just whether the devil can be cast out, but what will be left in its wake. Will Holly return to them, or will the trauma of the possession and exorcism leave an indelible scar? And for Nicole, who has already lost and regained a daughter once, the potential of losing Holly again to this spiritual violence may be a wound from which she can never fully recover. This storyline promises a climax that is less about spectacle and more about the devastating emotional fallout on a family already stretched to its breaking point. A tangled web, the fallout of Harris's death. Meanwhile, in the opulent, shadow-drenched corridors of the Di Mera mansion, another kind of death is being meticulously orchestrated. The apparent shooting of Harris Michaels has sent shockwaves through Salem, but the truth, as it often does in this town, is a far more intricate and venomous thing. The bullet was real, but the death is a facade, a desperate ploy concocted by Stefan Di Mera and Ava Vitali to protect Harris from the relentless Clyde Weston. As Harris lies in a secret location playing possum, the performance unfolding around his corpse is worthy of an award. Ava, in a career-defining performance, must channel a grief-stricken lover, her every tear a calculated lie aimed at selling the narrative to a skeptical and rightfully so Everett Lynch. Everett, whose journalist instincts are tingling like a spider sense, is not buying the story. He prods and pokes at the narrative, sensing the inconsistencies. His investigation threatens to unravel the entire scheme, potentially putting Harris in more danger than ever before. This creates a deliciously tense cat and mouse game, where one wrong word, one misplaced glance from Ava or Stefan, could be a death sentence. The question here is not just if they can fool Clyde, but if they can survive the scrutiny of a man whose own past is a hall of mirrors. Marlena's crisis of conscience. The psychologist becomes the patient. As the battle for Holly's soul rages, Dr. Marlena Evans finds herself in a uniquely torturous position. The renowned psychiatrist, who has faced the devil head-on, is now a grandmother forced to stand by, her professional tools useless against a supernatural foe. This powerlessness will trigger a profound crisis of faith, not just in God, but in herself. In poignant scenes with John Black, her rock, Marlena will grapple with a haunting guilt. She survived her own possession, but can she bear the weight of seeing her granddaughter endure the same torment? John, ever the stalwart protector, will find his own faith tested as he supports both his wife and his family. Their scenes promise a raw, intimate look at a legendary couple facing an enemy that bullets and brute force cannot defeat. Marlena's journey this week is inward, a dark night of the soul that may redefine her understanding of healing and hope. Romantic quagmires, lies, loyalty, and a blast from the past. No week in Salem is complete without its share of romantic entanglements twisting into near impossible knots. The burgeoning relationship between Chanel Dupree and Allie Horton faces its most severe test yet. The return of Johnny into the orbit of his ex-wife, Chanel, during this crisis with Holly, stirs up a maelstrom of old feelings and unresolved history. Allie, already insecure and battling her own demons, watches the intense, history-laden connection between Johnny and Chanel with a growing sense of dread. Is she merely a placeholder? This love triangle is set to ignite, fueled by crisis and the ghosts of relationships past. Across town, the always complicated pairing of E.J. Dimera and Nicole Dimera is strained to its limit. E.J.'s obsession with the baby he believes is his, the child Nicole tragically lost, creates a chasm between them. Nicole is drowning in the dual grief of losing her newborn and fearing for her possessed daughter, while E.J.'s single-minded focus feels like a betrayal. His interactions with Sloan Peterson, the lawyer who holds the devastating secret that Nicole's baby is actually alive and well, grow more frequent and suspicious. Nicole's intuition, sharpened by grief, may soon begin to piece together the unimaginable truth. And speaking of Sloan, her world is a pressure cooker of her own making. The secret she shares with Melinda Trask is a ticking time bomb. Every moment she spends with the baby, Jude, is a moment lived in paralyzing fear of exposure. Her relationship with Eric Brady, built on a foundation of lies, is poised to collapse under its own weight. One misplaced baby blanket, one slip of the tongue from a guilt-ridden Melinda, and the entire house of cards will come crashing down, devastating the already fragile Eric. A preview of things to come, resurrection and revelation. As the week draws to a close, Salem is left reeling. The exorcism will reach its thunderous conclusion, leaving a family to pick up the pieces. The Harris charade will reach a boiling point, forcing Stefan and Ava into even more dangerous territory. And in the shadows, the most days of our lives of all twists begins to stir. Whispers from the set indicate that the body of Megan Dimera, a villainous thought long gone, is not resting in peace. In a town where the cemetery is more of a revolving door than a final resting place, the potential resurrection of Megan hints at a return to the show's sci-fi roots. What experiments were being conducted on her? Is this the beginning of a new Dimera-driven plot involving the infamous Dr. Rolf's formulas? While this may only be hinted at in the final moments of the week, it's a promise that the chaos in Salem is eternal, and that for every secret revealed, a new, more shocking one is waiting to be born. This week on Days of Our Lives, prepare for a masterclass in soap opera storytelling, where the supernatural, the criminal, and the deeply human collide in a spectacular fashion. The days of our lives are, once again, about to be forever changed.